Are you ready to party? Let's go.
Steph Brocato, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Dude, thanks for having me, you guys.
Thanks for coming all the way from Oxnard, right? Or Ventura County?
Yeah, Oxnard up in Ventura County.
Yeah, dude, welcome to Long Beach, man.
Yeah.
Welcome to freaking, how was that drive?
Not too bad. A little bit of traffic going on to the 405, but I mean, I knew I was driving through LA, so there's going to be traffic.
I love it, dude. Well, hey, man, let's get right into this, dude. You and I met at a rally in Santa Monica for Firefighters for Freedom, right?
That's right.
And you are, sounds like you are a supporter.
I'm a big supporter. You could say I'm a huge supporter of Firefighters for Freedom.
Huge.
Yeah.
No, that was a good event, man. Wasn't too much opposition or crazy people out there, but it's good to always see everybody coming together and then also meeting new people. And that's how I came across of meeting you, and that's why you're on this podcast now. I'm like, hey, dude, so we have a podcast?
And I was like, let's go.
Like, hey, that's the name too. It all works out.
Yeah.
Dude, get after it. But, dude, so did you grow up in Ventura County?
This is my second stint living in Ventura County, but I actually grew up in the Bay Area. I was born in San Jose. Spent a lot of time in the Sacramento River Delta. I'm kind of a California wanderer. I lived down in San Diego for a little bit, spent some time out in the high desert, LA, Ventura, like I said, and then now Oxnard. But we're planting the flag. We bought the house and we're raising the kids there. So that's it. We gotta make Ventura awesome, and we gotta save the state. So
yeah,
right on, man.
What got you into politics?
So when the lockdowns happened, I'm a small business owner. I've got my own small real estate investing company. I like flip houses. It's me, my dad, and my wife. And when the shutdowns happened, I watched a lot of my buddies who owned businesses, who had like gyms and restaurants and all this stuff. They all got shut down. And I kept saying, we're in California, but we're Americans. We're going to stand up to this nonsense. Eventually, we're all just going to say enough is enough. It never happened. No one said enough was enough. Our elected leaders never turned around and said, look, we can't infringe on our citizens' freedoms like this. Everyone just kept doing it.
Right.
I'm like, why am I standing here waiting for somebody to jump in to save us? That's it. I'm the top guy in my household. It's time to just step up and get something done myself. So that was it. It's the kind of example I want to set for my sons, and we got on the path. I started going to GOP meetings there in Ventura County. I got involved at Godspeak. Pastor Rob McCoy, big shout out to you, boss.
Nice.
He's just an incredible man, and he put the word out there, and it got on my heart, and that was it. So never thought I'd be in politics. I don't have the hair for it. And,
I beg to differ. I think you have exactly what politics needs right now as far as hair goes.
Man.
For sure.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
That's cool because, and so everybody knows, how old are you?
35. I'm 35 years old.
Oh my God, I freaking love it. I think we need more young people in politics. And this is not to say that just because there's people in middle age or older in politics that it's bad. But everything that I'm seeing in government that are running the United States right now, it's a lot of people who should be retired. And my thing is like, why are you holding on to all this power? And my also thought is, how do we get people to step up to get into politics, right?
Yeah.
Because does seem kind of ugly. It does seem like it's an interesting path. What is the right path, right, to get into politics or Congress or become a governor? It's kind of interesting. But, I met you, and I was actually really pumped when I met you. And it kind of encouraged me because I'm like, okay, so like my thought process and getting younger people in there, I'm not alone on this.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that you're involved. And what have been some of those obstacles for you as far as being younger and trying to get into assembly?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, having no pathway in it, there's no roadmap. You don't just go, show up at the county office. They'll give you the paperwork and they'll tell you the dates that you need to turn them in, but they don't give you. There is no roadmap to how to do this thing. So it's jumping in. The nice thing was, especially on the grassroots level, there's so many people that feel like they're not being represented. As soon as I started looking, it was really easy to find groups. You find these great groups like Firefighters for Freedom, like Stand Up Ojai, like all these different organizations. Brave, big shout out to Brave, big shout out to Move the Needle. These places that are starting to give voice to the voiceless. And, to get onto your point, it's not just the age, it's the, participating in the community gap between those of us that actually live here and people who are, elected to represent us. I'm like, how are people who don't have kids writing laws about taking away the rights of parents? How is it that people that have never built anything are creating the regulations that stop us and tell us how to build a house or how to do all these things? You can't experience everything through academia. There's so many people in office right now that went from school to an Ivy League school to teaching to principal to city council to board of supervisors, to legislature, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, through all that, what you've collected is a bunch of government pensions. You live in a bubble where everyone is just passing around in theory information, but you've never gone out and actually done anything. You want to stop forest fires, but you've never gone out to the forest to do a brush clear. You've never been out there with firefighters when you're actually fighting the fires, when you're actually doing this stuff. And that was a big part of what motivated me. It's like, I don't see any construction workers up there in the state assembly that are representing me. I don't know any hockey players up there. So let's get some representation.
Yeah, I think I want to say something you mentioned in the beginning, kind of like what drew you into it. And I think a lot of people are getting in that position to where it's like the politics thing seems like such a daunting thing to get into, and because of exactly what you just said, there's no like clear path, and most of the time it's that the Ivy League school to either a teaching type scenario and then get into city council onward and upward, right? So you have this huge gap of people with like, I wouldn't call it not life experience because I'm not dogging people who go that route at all, but having a different perspective of someone who's either been a blue collar worker or had worked their way up from a private business. And there are, I'm sure, some people who end up doing it. But I think when you're kind of like, you're like, how can I make a difference? Right. So I think that's awesome that, you're young, especially in this state, being conservative is probably a little bit more difficult as far as in popularity, depending on where you're at, but just the only way to do it is to do it, and seeing people like yourself being able to stand up and kind of start that process, I think that's really that's refreshing, and, I think it's just, you don't really hear a lot about younger politicians on a conservative side.
Right.
You hear a lot progressives that tend to be a little bit younger. You could say,
think about that.
Like AOC's popular one probably to talk about, but we won't go there. But but what I'm saying is that you do these younger, more at least popular media-wise, politicians tend to be only one way.
Right.
Even Dan Crenshaw is, in his later 30s, I believe, and not. Whether you like them, dislike them, whatever, but just another that's playing like an opposition to the progressive movement. So it's like, how come you can only name one?
Right.
And why is it that those the younger conservative, and then there's more than one. He's like Matt Gaetz or, oh my God, I forgot.
Lauren Boebert or there's a few.
Yeah, there's a few, but not on the popularity status of what do they say, the squad, right?
Right.
It's Ilhan Omar.
Well, as conservatives, it's an interesting thing. We don't have the nonprofit, organizations that are going to fund, $1 million campaigns to get, some blue collar worker into the state assembly or into Congress. It just doesn't happen. So you've got certain PACs and certain things, and I'm not even, going to hate on the way that it's gone. It is what it is because that's the way that it's been. Mm-hmm. And I think that, God bless Joe Biden, because every time he speaks, more people decide to come over to the conservative movement of all ages. I'll say it. The gas prices, the food shortages. God, that was a hard word.
That's good. You got it.
Had to finish that one up.
Blow with it.
But yeah, the thing, man.
You just Bidened out right
That's
here.
it.
Dude.
Yeah. Well, you talk about him and he gets you. Ding.
Where am I?
So,
The thing.
I
just fell up the stairs 3 times right now on the podcast.
I just want every so often when Biden's making a speech, someone to go, "Hey Joe, where are you?" Just answer it just quick. It has to be nonchalant. You're like, are you in a room? Is it the state? Is it the city? But like a point structure or something.
Yeah. So It has been a eye-opening experience for a lot of people, and especially young people, because young people don't like to lose, and they don't like to be wrong about a lot of things. And that part of it, when it affects your life, I mean, I know what it's like to live month to month. You know, I know what it is when, you know, your gas prices go from $3.50 a gallon to $5 a gallon. It affects you. Yeah. You know, we understand those things in community, and I feel like a lot of people get real tone deaf about it. They don't understand it, and that's an issue that we've had in both parties. I think that there's this populist groundswell that's kind of coming together based around medical freedom. I laugh. I'm like, man, you know, the anti-vax crowd. Not saying that what we're talking about is even that. You know, I think there's a difference between being completely anti-vax and not wanting to take a experimental shot, or even more so than that, not wanting to have to show papers that you got a shot to go operate in basic life. But I laugh. My liberal friends, having some from the Bay Area and whatnot, who would, you know, eat at the Whole Foods and do those sort of things. They were very, very conscious of what went into their bodies, what kind of food they ate, you know, what kind of medications they took, and they're freaking out over these mandates. They're going, wait a minute.
Interesting.
I don't want this. We go to Ojai, and I'll get 30% of my rallies up in Ojai are progressive moms that are showing up going, look, I you know, fundamentally disagree with a lot of your platforms because they think that I'm anti their programs, which I'm not. I'll do most of the programs. I just don't like the government paying for any of it because they mess everything up, or they don't actually fix the problem. But they're showing up over this because they care about their kids.
Yeah, I really think that this administration messed up when they started going after the children. You start going after kids, you're going to have both sides start uniting in some type of way. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't have children. I know Jordan by the way, congratulations, Jordan. It's his first episode back since having his second child.
Hey-o.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, I forgot to put that out there.
It's okay. I'm glad to be back. Yeah. Back to you, Tim.
But, you know, I have 8 nieces and nephews, and there's a lot of people. It's like, who the hell told them they can tell me what I'm going to do with my child? Yeah. There's no way. And there's a clip I showed you, and I sent to our group, our podcast group. Remember that clip where that woman is talking? She's an African-American woman. She's a politician.
Oh, yeah, where they're talking about the it's basically the responsibility shouldn't lie on the parents. It should lie on the community more so.
The government.
Yeah, which I actually went back to find that because it was like the clip that was being sent around. I always like to try to find the whole thing. Yeah. Because I feel like I'll punt that out, and then a couple people will respond and be like, dude, it was like a mashup. You know, and no, that was the general consensus of what they were talking about. It was just saying that it's more than just the individual family member should be the one making the decisions. It could be influenced by the community. Now, I'm sure this was pertaining to vaccine status, which maybe, you know what I mean, that brings in a bunch of other gray area stuff to talk about. But, you know, it's just, it's unfortunate that you know, it's like fortunate and unfortunate, right? Because I feel like the political divide it's pretty strong. Right?
Yeah.
But now it takes certain things to be in motion to be able to start bridging that. So now we're having people, whether you're fundamentally conservative or fundamentally liberal, but you find that most people probably operate really in the middle, right? Because you can agree with some things and not so with the others. But what this is doing, when you start going after children, I mean, at least I feel like it should tie in a lot of people who'd be like, look, we may not fundamentally agree on certain things, whether it's gun control, abortion, what have you, but I think we can all agree on the fact that we should at least be able to control our kids. And as a parent, I feel like that's a no-brainer question.
Yeah.
You know, like, and, you know, now what have we seen in the last month, right? Everything kind of comes in waves, right? It was like, you know, under 15. And then the cutoff is 5. And now you're hearing they're talking about we want to be able to vaccinate kids under 5 years old.
Right.
Now, if you make that determination for your well-being of your family, like I may not agree with it, but at least that's you. You know, but if you, once that gets to the point of it's mandatory, right? They're constantly closing the box. And actually this kind of segues into what I was listening to earlier. There was something they were talking about, they're using lab like animal testing.
Yeah.
right? So when I say this, I try to keep an open mind about what I'm talking about here, just using it as like kind of an analogy. But so when you test subjects like an animal like rats, for example, right? The way that you get them to do what you want to do is you start limiting their spaces, right? You start taking away things that they normally would get, whether that's food, interaction, whatever you have, to the point at which that they feel like they will do the obstacle or take the medication or whatever it is in order to get those rewards on the back end of it. And when I was listening to him talking about this, I was like, essentially that's what they're doing right now as a whole, right? And from an outside, like let's say if you're looking at the government's perspective, like how can we convince everybody to do this?
Right.
Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, how do we do that? Well, we start by limiting them, right? We take away like some things that they normally have. Okay, well that didn't work. How do we grip down on them? Okay, well we're going to start getting them at their jobs. What can we control from that area? You know, so that's why when you start having all these like mandates and everything, it's like they're constantly just trying to resituate their position to force a narrative.
Right.
And
Compliance, to force in the compliance. I mean, yeah, there's so much there, man. And a big part of it is we can all rally on you should be free to make up your own mind. The government doesn't have the right to infringe upon your freedoms. The whole purpose of government is to make sure that your freedoms are protected. Yes. Protected from foreign adversaries, protected from tyrannical government, protected from all these things. That's why we have the Constitution. I mean, so when it comes to all those kind of disagreements, people come running at, wow, when somebody starts making up my mind for me, especially when it comes to my kids. We've got 3 monster bills right now in the state legislature, AB 1400, which is the individual mandate for medical, which would increase pretty much everybody. It's everyone whose household makes more than $49,000 per year in the state of California. Your taxes are going to go up like $1,000 a month.
Are you freaking kidding me?
I'm not playing at all. And you don't get to opt out of this medical. This is state-run medical for the whole state. They call it free medical for all. I'm like, if it goes up $1,000 a person, that's not free.
Do they understand what that's going to do to? Okay, so people making over, let's say 50,000 or 100,000 under, they're definitely living paycheck to paycheck. It's expensive to live, not just in California, but Southern California, the Bay Area. There's certain areas. You know what that's going to do to these families?
Yeah.
And a lot of them, I read an article of these people are buying fast food at McDonald's or other places because it's cheaper than groceries right now.
Yeah.
Losing jobs. They're having to quit jobs because the gas to get to their job is too expensive.
Yeah.
And now they're like, well, I don't know what to do. We're going to lose our apartment where we're renting. Like, that's going to put so many people in the hole. I would say the working class people.
Yeah. That's what it is.
It's going to screw them so stinking hard. And I want to say, like, why can't people just open their eyes and see this?
Yeah. And that's the whole point, really. I mean, there's so much, because I want to come back to that interview that you were talking about as well. But this is important to stay on. It makes it to where you'll either be a slave to the system, where, and I'm using that term intentionally because it literally does that. Either you'll make so little that the state will give you payouts, and the state will give you fixed income housing, and the state will give you this medical and will not make you pay that $1,000 because you keep your income under the threshold. So they want every household here in California to either make under $49,000 per year, or you're going to be so rich that it doesn't really affect you, or you can offshore your taxes. There's so many people that have an address in another state, and they use that for all their tax purposes, and they have a secondary residence here in California so that they've got some tax protection. Right. Well, people like, I can't afford that. I can't do that.
The average person here in California will not be able to do that. And like, think about the average home price, at least down here where you live. I think it's like $800,000 now.
It's 8 to 9.
So for the state, I was just looking at the census numbers because we'll get into this in a minute. I've got a little plan for California that I want everyone, at least for sure on my side of the aisle, should be talking about this, and maybe it'll get some common sense Democrats to start talking about it as well. But the average house cost in the state everywhere is like $600,000.
How is somebody who makes under $50,000 to stay under that threshold going to be able to afford to buy a home and put a roof over their kid's head? The American dream, right?
Right.
So they're putting people in a hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And you start
All you have
off
to
in a
do is-
hole.
All you have to do is increase the minimum wage.
Right.
Yeah, and then they're going to
Just
cut the
kidding.
hours back.
And,
That was a
well,
joke. That was a
and,
joke.
and even then,
I don't really think
they
that.
pay you more so they can tax you more as well.
Well, right.
That's the whole thing. How about we cut the taxes first? I'm all for competitive markets drive up wages anyways. How about we stop incentivizing offshoring our jobs? How about we stop letting foreign countries buy land in our state?
Oh, baby.
Come on. Like
love it.
there's a lot of easy solutions to these things. But we have to start like not paying attention to the shiny objects, right?
Yeah.
They've got us right now. We're having to fight this war against the vaccine mandate, which is important. We need to win this war. We need to be able to crush, the government's overreach so that we can win other things. But imagine if we weren't dealing with, this crisis of fear that we're going through and that we've gone through for the last couple of years. If we're not so divided by people walking down the street with masks on, if we weren't so divided that you can't go have a face-to-face conversation with people anymore, we could solve these real issues. But instead, they keep us hung up on this other garbage. They keep us distracted all the time.
So it's like they're dangling a carrot, right?
Yeah, all the time. Well, and it's this utopian dream that they're constantly talking about too. I'm like, so one party has had complete control of California for almost 30 years, uninterrupted.
Right.
If the utopian dream was coming, pretty sure it would be here by now.
Absolutely agree with you.
Do you think that a lot of that has to do because you had a lot of really good points right there, and I think that the overall, like if the movement of just society, not even a political movement, but is to just like how do we get things better, right? How do we increase our poverty level without kicking, taking out the big businesses that can drive a lot of the jobs and money to be made, right? It's like what do you think like? I don't know how I was going to word this. As far as like, what is the next step? Because I think that the big thing facing right now. Sorry, I just got where I was going with this one.
No worries.
The big thing that I think we face right now is that because the divide probably dictates a lot on how people view their information. Right. So it's like whatever you subscribe to, like, are you a CNN, MSNBC person? Do you like Fox or do you listen to Newsmax, OAN, whatever? Right. I think that.
Let's Go podcast.
Do you listen to Let's Go podcast? Because that's where you're going to get everything in the middle, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that I feel like for the majority of people is that this is the only information that they'll get stuff from.
Yeah.
It's like if I have family members that it's like, okay, they have, if you watch CNN for 12 hours, if you step outside your house, you think you have an insanely high chance of probably getting very sick because of COVID.
Right.
Right. And again, right. It's not knocking anybody individually. It's just how do we get to the point where we can kind of like open it up a little bit from the top down. It's like because if you said, okay, I can give you a laundry list of studies and research and comparisons of that what's going on right now isn't really helping us. In fact, it might be making it worse by increasing the vaccine, whatever. But that's my opinion, right? Or from what I've read, I've formulated my stance on this.
Yeah.
Now, but if you went out there on let's say on Fox and you said that, it's completely dismissed. Right. And whether or not it was good information or bad information, it's like, how do we get to the point where we can kind of open things up for everybody to where we have more people like processing and making these determinations instead of just listening to what they're told and like, okay, this must be it. So I'm going to do this in my life.
Yeah. I mean, that's the, $1 trillion question, isn't it? Right. So I think a lot of it is how you, I think you guys are a great example of exactly what you're supposed to do. You guys stay strong. You don't apologize for who you are, and you don't apologize for your stance. You keep a big smile on your face. You deliver the information in an entertaining way. You guys are here. You guys are under immense pressure with the Firefighters for Freedom movement. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything is against you guys. California's a monster. 5th highest economy or 8th highest economy in the world, depending on whose numbers you're looking at. And the whole weight of the system is going after you guys. Yet you guys are having a good time. You guys are still laughing. You guys are still just rocking right on through this thing. And there's strength to that. And to keep getting the message out, like this is the pirate radio. They're coming after it. That's why can I say Joe Rogan on here?
Yeah,
Can you say
sure.
so?
I reference him like almost every show. So
Yeah.
yes.
I'm like, dude, the Joe Rogans of the world, they're getting the message out. I mean, that's what we have to keep doing. We've got to keep delivering the message. We keep covering all the topics because maybe it's scary taking the red pill. You ever have somebody and they have their red pill moment right in front of you, and that aha and little charade just breaks? Oh my God, you almost got to instantly give them a hug because you're like, I know.
It's a lot.
It's so bad. I know.
To take in.
Yeah, because they're like you want to just go back to sleep, but you can't. You can't go back to sleep once you're there, and it's a hard thing. And I say, start people off with the small stuff. I try to go after, easy things that I know are easy to prove and easy to digest, right? So you start them off with that, and then you like slowly introduce the other stuff that's going on, right? It's not, we're not tricking anybody, but I'm not going to go straight to the cabal that's behind the 2020,
that's not a good opener.
This thing or whatever. Yeah, that's people are going to be like, man, this guy's crazy. When you turn around and tell people, oh, Jeff Bezos is, trying to, with Elon Musk, is putting microchips in people's brains.
Neuralink,
so
that's a thing.
we're going to Neuralink interface, and it's going to be human 2.0. And they're like, we're going to turn off this podcast because these fools are crazy.
They just started the human trials with the Neuralink this last week.
Isn't that
it's
wild?
a real deal.
Yeah.
We're living an amazing time.
Fact check us.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But yeah, start them off with the easy to digest stuff and just get it going. But every one person, right? Especially, this is the nice thing about people who are we're your classic Democrats or who lean that way. Mm-hmm. When you open their eyes, they're still used to operating in the world the way that, you see the way that we kind of meme Democrats is reacting, how they get very loud and,
But do you think that's even really like, when I hear the term, like if someone's like, oh, I'm a Democrat, to me, like especially like the majority of the Republican Party, like as far as policy stance goes, was the Democratic Party like 30 years ago.
Yeah, the Kennedy Democrats.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like when you say that, it's interesting because it's like, I'm a Democrat, or they're like, because the new term is like, I'm progressive, right? You're a progressive liberal. That's like what even though like that's kind of like the new form, I think, of like what's, as far as policy wise, like a lot of socialistic type, basis and stuff. But
well, yeah, because you see the moderate ones, the Tulsi Gabbardts of the world, they're getting chased out of the party right now.
She's very
come on
oh
over,
my
dude.
gosh,
That
yeah.
chick
I'm
will-
like,
she's
you'll be
awesome.
president over here, Tulsi. Come on over. So, but that's the whole thing. So I guess that's why I'm saying the meme concept. There's a whole lot of people who were Democrats who have now come over to the side. They are my loudest, most ardent supporters because now they're awake and they're angry about all the lies. And they're used to being activists because that's something that they actually teach you on that side of the aisle is to go out and to, let the government know how you feel. My parents weren't that way. The conservative side, we don't occupy that space at all. And a lot of it is because of the way that we keep busy. We do tend to work a lot of the blue collar jobs. We do, I coach, youth football. I coach my son's football team. I'm busy. I didn't have time to protest. I do now. I made the time because it makes a difference. But when you awaken those people, even just one, they're so fast to go wake up their friends. They are banging down the door to let their friends know, oh my God, we've been hoodwinked. Like, you need to see this stuff. So it seems like a slow process, but it starts moving when you start, just getting people to look at the information. And it's important. My pastor always says, the other side is not the enemy, they're the opportunity. And
I like that.
And I think that's Pastor Rob McCoy, gotta shout him out.
awesome.
Yeah, I know. He's so awesome.
I like that.
And it's totally true. Now, there's people in office that I think are the enemy. And there's a difference between that because I think that there are people that are manipulating us for the benefit of different agendas, for financial gain.
Nancy Pelosi.
I mean, oh my
Sorry,
God.
Got great
Wiener.
stock picks, boys.
God.
her husband does. Her husband has great stock picks.
We were locked down. I tell everybody this. While you were locked down, the state assembly here in California lessened the penalty on pedophiles while they shut down your businesses and closed your church.
It's incredible to me.
These sort of things, and I say this. People ask me, what can you do if we'll get into this, I'm sure, but the way that what state assembly does, in case anybody doesn't know, we are the Congress of the state. So,
okay, thank you. I was going to ask that. Okay, perfect.
So,
keep going with that.
So we're the Congress of the state of California. We make all the laws for the state, right? Okay. So when you see these crazy laws coming out, that's your assembly member. Everyone turns around and goes, I didn't vote for that law. No, you don't. You vote for the assembly member. They go to Sacramento and they pass the laws.
Interesting.
So we got 80 members. There's currently 19 Republicans, 1 independent, and 60 Democrats. And 54 votes passes anything veto proof.
Oh,
so they don't need a single Republican to even care.
They're unchecked. They're pretty much doing whatever they want, right?
Which is why we end up with bills like SB 866 that's rolling out right now, which lowers the consent age for vaccines to 12 years old without your parents. You don't need a parent signature. At 12 years old, you can decide what goes in your body. Well, I think that's a gateway bill. I think that'll lead to lowering the consent age of a whole lot of other things. But
you know what I was doing when I was 12 years old? I was freaking surfing and playing video games. I had no idea what I want to do with my freaking life.
I'm not making life decisions, I can tell you that.
Do you know your family's medical history at 12 years old?
No.
Do you know what kind of allergies you might have to medication at 12 years old? All these sort of things?
I always ask my mom.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, just to get some clarification on that, did that pass?
No, these are all the bills that are in session right now. So reach out. That's one of the things that I can say. Make your voice heard, because one of the goals that I have when I reach assembly, because I'm going to win my race. I'm winning the 38th period exclamation point. We've got great support out there.
Freaking love
We're
it.
coming for it. But one of the things that I can do is when these people are up there doing that kind of stuff, we can make them famous. You get in, you show everyone who is passing these, who's writing these bills, who's voting yes on these bills. It should be a political death nail to vote to lessen the penalty for pedophilia. That should be a career ender.
It's disgusting.
If you turn around and you tell parents, hey, we're going to move you out of the equation and let your 12-year-old make their decision, and they can turn around and say, screw you, mom and dad. We don't need your permission to do this. That should be a political death note. You don't get to run for city dog catcher after you try to write something like that. But there's, with the exception of maybe Kevin Kiley, and there's a handful of other ones. Shout out to the good ones. You know who you are. But for the most part, they're not. We're still having a pillow fight on this side of the aisle when the other side plays it's a blood sport. I'm a hockey player, man. I'm down for the glove dropping. Let's go. So
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
I love it.
But I think that's also part of the confusion of it, right? Is that we were kind of dancing around. I was like, what do you do as an assembly member, right?
Right.
So when you get those voting slips and you're just like, people vote to either whether they know about the person, or they're just going strictly party lines, or they're just like whatever.
Yeah.
But really understanding that who you're voting for is potentially setting up for things like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
right?
Children.
For your children's, for life, because this is where the control side of the government, as far as like having the opportunity to rewrite things, right? We don't have any say as citizens to that. We only have say with who we want to elect to these positions.
Yeah.
And it's like you just rattled off two bills that are being voted that you will eventually vote on. I didn't hear it. I didn't get an email. I didn't get a
local news doesn't let you know.
Right. And that's again, I'll go into the point of why it's so important for the media to get information to the whether you agree or disagree with it, get it out there and let people decipher these things.
Yeah.
And which I feel like that's what we try to do on here as much as possible.
Yeah.
As far as like, for whoever's watching, like not that you vote the way you want to vote, but at least know what you're voting for.
Yeah.
And how that could potentially change your situation for better or worse.
And I challenge people to get away from the tribalism of it too. Like, so for me, one party rule always leads to totalitarianism, right? Like it's going to lead, that's communism. What you need two healthy parties. One party has completely lost its way, and that doesn't mean that the people have lost their way.
Of course.
Because some of them, like you said, they vote Democrat because their parents did, because their grandparents were Kennedy Democrats, and they thought that was the right way to go. And it's amazing how many people vote against their values. I'll talk to people, I'll be like, yeah, I love God. I'm a Christian. My middle name's Christian. I'm a small business owner. I care that, we've got to send off $800 to the state before I can even start operating my business every single year.
Oh, we know
all
that.
these sort of things like, man, we care about this. And I'll just start rattling things off and they're nodding. They're like, dude, you're awesome. Yeah, I'm totally going to vote for you. I'm like, sweet, just vote bro. I'm the one with the R next to his name. They're like, what? You're a Republican? I'm like, yeah. Why are you running as a Republican? I'm like, well, because of all the values that I just rattled off.
Yeah.
Well, those are my values, but I'm a Democrat. I'm like, dude, you got to check your party right now. Yeah. And the great thing is as soon as people realize that and start leaving that party, the natural thing, this is just like, capital markets, right? What's going to happen as soon as everyone starts dumping the Democrat Party because they've lost their mind and they think that we're going to end up in a socialist utopia? All of a sudden, the Democrat Party is going to have to change.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're going to have to go, okay, all of our craziness is super unpopular, so we don't want to die as a party, so we've got to move more to the right. We've got to get back to being more like the Kennedy Democrats. And then we end up with balance to the force.
Right.
So these are the things that we need. But if you just keep voting it because you're so tribalistic that you'll vote against your own values, you'll vote against your own family, you'll vote against your children. Because I'm like, if these things pass, who can afford to stay in this state? Your kids won't be able to. I don't want my kids to leave.
I almost don't want to even be in this state because, dude, I get destroyed in taxes. I'm not married,
Yeah.
but I own some businesses. I'm also a firefighter. I have a house, but, dude, taxes crush me in the state. And then, I heard a few weeks ago that they want to double our taxes. I'm like, I told my parents, I'm like,
That's 1400.
Yeah, I'm like, how? Like, I would say I do very well. But it's still tight sometimes. You still got to put money into your businesses and you're trying to fix your house, but you're also trying to save. And, and I'm like, I know I struggle at times and I think I do well. How the hell are other people who make less than $100,000 a year going to make it?
Right.
It's going to be incredibly, and you said it well. And I talked about this in the podcast a while ago. What they're doing in this state is you're going to have the haves and the have-nots. There's going to be no middle class. The middle class is getting wiped out right now, which is why you see so many people leaving California.
Yeah.
We said it on here before. I've read multiple articles, and these researchers are saying, we don't understand. It's the first time in history in California there's more people leaving than coming in. I'm like, bitch, you know exactly why people are leaving.
Yeah.
There's no U-Hauls. There's no freaking U-Hauls to get out here. It's incredible.
But they can't say it. The news organizations are funded by the same people that are the ones that are funding the campaigns for all these politicians. I'm like, how come a union can put up millions of dollars, a union that's got, 300 members, can put up $3 million on a campaign? That an individual can only put up a couple grand for that whole election cycle. How does that work? And I sit there and I go, you're funding in. People are buying races, just like they buy anything else here in the state of California. You can, if you push it through the right tax code, anybody can buy anything. They can cheat the system any way that they want because they control the system. And the nice thing is that there's still so many of us, and there's so many of us that have common sense and are we are awake, not woke, but awake to what's actually happening. We can get in and fix it anytime that we want to. We just got to turn around and all say no. The answer is just no, hard stop. The Constitution is such an amazing thing. It actually tells you what your responsibility is when faced with tyrannical government, not what the option is, what your responsibility is. And, that looks different to everybody else, but that's why I'm here. I stepped in. I'm not going to be a politician. I'm not. I wouldn't be any good at it. I'm here to be the wartime statesman because I think we are. We're at a war for the heart and soul of our state. Mm-hmm. And as California goes, so does the country. If we just abandon it, I hate to break it to anybody, but the Germans didn't stop at Poland. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
So
Did not know.
if we just let them take over California, where's it going to wash up? Gonna make it to the shores of Texas? How far is this train gonna roll? Because Colorado's dealing with California policies. So's Oregon, Washington, New Mexico, all these states. They're getting hammered by it.
So getting a lot of Californians.
Yeah, it's time to stand up here at California. We're the ones that are behind enemy lines, man. We're on the front.
Now, let me ask you this. This is more of like a theoretical response, but or a philosophical. Sorry, theoretical. Anyway.
Same thing.
So, a lot of passionate responses are from like tax changes, right? Like what we just said. We're going to pay what? Another $1,000 a year for this? Another $1,000 a year for this? Potentially doubling our overall tax bracket. And I similar boat as Tim, right? Like I'm not not in the middle. I'm kind of I do well enough to where anytime there's a tax change, it's a big impact on me personally and making things.
Oh, yeah.
And it
You
does,
feel it.
right?
Yeah.
But where I was going with this is that what if you really saw the change that your tax money came into, right? And I feel like that's what the old school Democratic vibe or the, maybe youthful hopefulness, right? When they start talking about like whether it's on the college level or different things as far as building like socialistic, components to life, things like that. Well, socialistic components, but welfare programs, things like that, building those up and extending them, if you saw those things work, right? Like if they actually worked, like people like you got in on a program, you changed for whatever that means for you in the scenario you're in, and you made the next step out of it to where you didn't need to rely on it anymore and moved on and moved forward. I think if that was the majority response, none of us would be tripping out when we'd hear like extra tax. Like no one wants to pay more money. I get that. But if you saw that your money actually was going into something that generated this crazy positivity, it's like, hey, look, if everyone can go to school for free and everyone's going to do, blah, 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 blah. If you can make the argument that actually showed a positive response in that, I think you would have more people that would actually be like, okay, I may not agree with it, but it isn't. And we have years and years and years of examples of all these tax heists and things that we're going to put money in this. Nothing ever gets done.
Yeah.
And, I know the bureaucracy, everything costs money and all that stuff, but the one thing that I know is that government resources as far as delegating on how spending goes is terrible.
Right.
Right? And we can conjure up another $50 billion and say we're going to help reroute the schooling system.
Well,
but what does that do?
Yeah.
Nothing.
So they spend $14 billion on the, My Sharona Cyrus protocols in schools right now. That's why when you have the vaccine policies that are coming down, that's why when you have the mask mandates in schools, that's why you have all these things, and parents pulled their kids out of school because they're like, yeah, I'm not going to deal with that. The schools go, well, I don't care. We just got an extra $14 billion to make sure that our, numbers are high when it comes to vaccination percentage, when it comes to, having these X amount of tests done per month, when it comes to all these sort of things, they got a whole bunch of money. It beat having your kids in school. This AB 1400, it's going to cost it is almost double our budget. It's like $360 some odd billion for that program. Think about how much money that is. For me, I'm like, I'm here. I'm here to tell everybody when I say that I'm going to go attack those things, I'm going to fight against those things. I am very happy. I love life. I love living. I did not Epstein myself. So just so all you guys know. So, right. but it's the
you heard it here, folks.
It's the truth. Yeah. We're all, you know what I mean? We're going after these big monster things, and the truth is, I'm going to turn around and say it loud. I want to cut the taxes in California in half. I think that we should cut the budget down the middle. It's got to go by half. I think we need to absolutely deregulate. And my goal for the state, and what everyone's goal should be for the state, is a household should be able to thrive on one income. Doesn't mean you have to. I'm not a chauvinist. I'm not saying it's got to be mom's income or dad's income or whatever else, but you should be able to make it in this state on one income. What does that allow to happen? That allows parents to be involved in their kids' schools. That allows you to pursue your hobbies. If you're a single person and you can make it on one income, man, you can go after your dreams. You can pursue other things because you're not having to work that second or third job. You can actually, go after some hobbies. You can take part in local politics so you know what's actually happening in your community. Yeah. What they did is they buried us. They buried us under this high tax. They buried us under this extremely high regulation. They control the housing market in the state. We don't have enough houses. They drive the market up so high. It's the great reset in practice here in the state of California.
It's incredible.
You're going to end up owning nothing.
Yeah. I mean, dude, look, if I didn't buy where I'm at now, there's no way I could afford it now.
Right.
Or buy when I did. I bought back in 2015. I couldn't afford it now.
Yeah.
It's incredibly expensive over here.
Yeah.
I mean, I got equity and all that stuff, but I always think about my friends and family who are on fixed income.
Right.
Well, my family, they're all very well educated, but most of them are teachers.
Right.
They're fixed income. And I'm just like, how do you guys make it?
Yeah.
It's kind of like you said, man. And Jordan brought this actually up before. See what you think on this. But remember that flat tax you kind of talked about and read about?
Oh, man, I've been waiting to talk about that. See what you thought about it.
Go for it, man.
No, and it was nothing crazy. So, It just I was in reference to I was like when I started getting into politics, and it was right around the time I think it was the second because I'd always kind of been more middle ground, maybe even a little bit more left leaning, like up until this point in my life, as far as social policies, things like that. But it was when Herman Cain was trying to run. It was during the what is that called when they do the like all one party will do the debates before they pick one.
The primaries?
The primaries, thank you. And when he was doing the primaries, I didn't know anything about this guy, and I watched it. And he started talking about how to eliminate massive amounts of debt by creating flat taxes. And I think at the time he was saying like 9%, a 9% flat tax across the board would do it, but saying that you can actually bump it down and make different ones, but keep it within like a 6 to 9 realm. And was talking about being able to cut the deficit like for the country within 2 years, right, in half. Right? It was a lot, right?
Right.
And I was like, no way. There's no way. Because it sounded so simple, right? It was like, okay, so this is out there, like this is the thing. And that's kind of what got me into like a little bit more like, in the political side of things, like kind of looking into backgrounds and when people say what they're standing for and what they want to do and like what's their fiscal outcome. Like what I really focus in on that with any politician that's talking. And I thought, man, if there's these things that we can potentially do. And I'm not saying the flat tax is the answer, but it definitely could be something to curb to where we can corral like excess spending and being able to get more, it may not happen for the elite, business owners, but for everyone else in the middle would be a lot of money back in your pocket, an opportunity to either reinvest, hire more people, be able to pay more stuff off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, cause it's one big, it's one big machine, and it always seems to, affect the very elite. Now, I'm not saying they need to get dinged by half, because there's a lot of numbers like, if you make over, what was it? They said if you made over like 20 million, you should pay like 60% of your, like that's ridiculous. Like stop it.
The Bernie system.
Yes.
Well, I love how he used to say, we've got to get rid of the billionaires and the millionaires need to pay their fair share and whatever. And then he became a millionaire and now he just says the billionaires need to pay their fair share.
Because it's not that big of a deal to be a millionaire
I know.
anymore, right?
That's
hypocritical.
Not the millionaires anymore. Sorry to the Bernie bros listening. But it's a starting point, right? Because my whole thing is, and this is where I stand with most of the programs, like you were talking about. If the homelessness program, if all the billions that we were spending on it fixed homelessness, we wouldn't be spending the billions anymore, right?
Right.
If the schools were so successful and we were pumping out all these, great kids and everything else, we wouldn't be talking about school choice. We wouldn't be pushing all these other things. The problem is that government thrives on problems, not solutions. Because if you solve the problem, you can't go back and ask for more money to fix it. Every time the homeless crisis gets worse, they get to up the taxes. They get to say, we got to ask for a couple billion when there was, 10,000 homeless here in California. Now there's 36,000 homeless in California. We can ask for way more because people are really not going to like all the trash on the street and stuff. But if they ever got rid of the homeless problem, now what are you going to do with the money? Yeah. It's crazy what we do. I don't disagree with something along the lines of a flat tax because my issue with the way that the tax scale is now is it disincentivizes people to make money. You're doing really, really well.
Yes.
The way that you do, why should I take more from you because you're doing well? We should want everyone to do well. I listened to the Jordan Peterson thing the other day, and this is so true. He was talking about how
Jordan Peterson. Are you talking about on Joe Rogan?
On Joe Rogan,
dude.
Yeah. Dude, it was a great episode. Yeah.
Great episode.
But when he was talking about how people, if you look at like, renting communities and you notice that, there's a lot of trash, there's a lot of stuff there. And you look at communities where people own their homes. When you own a house, you want to take care of it because it belongs to you. When you've got no ownership over anything, what do you care? You're going to be out of it. You're probably going to move, when your lease is up anyways or whatever else. There's just a different mindset towards it. And when you're doing things like you've got the welfare state where it's such a weird thing. We can play easy numbers on it just to make it simple. But if you make, under $10,000, we'll say, they'll fix income your house and they'll give you a check and they'll give you food stamps and they'll give you free medical. But if you make $10,001, you lose all that and you go right back to regular, right? Why would anyone ever want to make more? Because how much do you need to make? You don't need to skip to $10,001. You need to skip to like $30,000 to where it makes up the difference.
Right.
How easy is that for anybody? How quick do you get up that ladder? That's why these programs aren't set up to help people out of them. They're set up to keep people in them, because the more people you have participating in the program, the more likely you're able to justify keeping the program. They say there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program. And that's the truth. When I'm talking about cutting the budget and cutting these taxes, there's certain things that are essential. We're not going to cut anything for public safety, and that's real public safety. Our law enforcement, our firefighters, our EMTs, those sort of people. You guys need more money, and we need more of you. There's no reason why we shouldn't have, an army of the best firefighters all the time. When guess what? We've got forest fires here. We should be able to be on top of that, and it should be full time managing the forests, managing these sort of things, so that we stay on top of stuff. We're in this utopian state, and we can't keep electricity on if the wind's blowing too hard. Yet we want to go to all windmill power.
It makes no sense.
We want to go to all electric cars, but like how do we get the lithium again? Slave labor from where to mine lithium? Yeah. Where are we going to get? What are we going to do to make enough electricity to power all these cars? Man, those are some tricky. I need new math. I need the 2 + 2 = something other than 4 math to be able to come up with this, because it makes no sense.
And I think that's a really good point. And I was actually having a conversation about this the other day, right? So the push for all electric, right? Which I think is very innovative, and there's a lot of benefits. Yes, it does do damage making lithium batteries. That's a fact. And the amount, I remember reading something, it's like one manufactured lithium battery puts up enough pollution that like one car would generate over a lifetime, like over a 20+ year period.
Sorry, guys, I got a Tesla.
No, hold on. We're going with that.
Just like a spaceship, bro.
Sorry, Cole.
But I don't know. Not at all. I think Teslas are awesome. I think all electrical ingenuity is awesome. I just think that the misnomer that is being pushed behind that is that, if everything's going to be electric, it's going to be great. Well, net zero emissions, all that cool stuff, it's okay. Well, how much do you pay for electricity right now? You're crazy to think that that's not going to quadruple. And once we get to the point that it's all electric, because what are we going to do? We have to create infrastructure, grids, management. They're going to be private, maybe government-owned facility, however it works. And what will end up happening, I know it would probably better if it was private, so at least they can compete for pricing. But I think that what will end up happening inevitably is that we'll be everything kind of comes full circle. So it's like, yes, is it good? Yeah, there's a lot of great things about it. There are some negative things to it too. But don't believe that it's all good because electricity is cheaper than petroleum-based products.
Right.
Right?
And so for me, it's like get the subsidies out of it, and we'll find out what's better, right?
Right.
If you get rid of all the subsidies and you let the private market just go to war on it, because I talk about it like, what do you want? What do you want in a car, right? You want it to be, a super, kick-ass car. You want it to be customizable. I don't want it to look like everybody else's car. I want good gas mileage. I want it to be able to fit all my stuff. I want it to be able to fit my personality. Well, if that's what everybody wanted and everyone demanded it and there was no subsidies, dude, we'd already have like a jacked up truck with a ton of torque, 1 billion horsepower that got 200 miles to the gallon. We'd have had that forever ago, because industry would drive that we must have that. We'd have electric cars that were, just top of the line, and there would be competitors out there that would be leaping over each other. The problem is that we subsidize it. We kind of pick winners, and it continues to flow in the same system. I've got friends out in Kentucky that have been making biodiesel for, 30 years. These solutions are attainable. We've got to start actually wanting solutions. I'm all for like good ideas. I don't care if a Democrat comes up with the better idea or a Republican. That should be the whole point, is we want the best idea. Sadly, one side thinks that we're going to live in a utopian, unicorn-filled, beautiful land, while California, since we started that way, has gotten uglier and uglier and uglier. You look at the places where they've got the one party rule the hardest. Los Angeles, San Francisco, have they gotten better looking since they took it over like that? I mean,
I will tell you right now, dude. I was in San Francisco a few months ago helping interview people, Firefighters for Freedom, and some other rallies. And I was in Chicago about a week ago. Absolute trash dumps. And I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to say it. Democrat-run cities turn to shit. Straight up. They're disgusting. And it's a bummer because I used to like going to San Francisco, New York, Chicago, all these cities. They're fun. Yeah. They're right. It's always bustling. There's people out all hours of the day and night. It's completely changed.
Yeah.
When I went to both San Francisco and Chicago, it's kind of like a ghost town.
Yeah.
There ain't nobody around there anymore.
And we don't want it to be that way. I want, those are the crown jewels. Those are like the cities that the world knows about.
Yeah, and there's so much rich history there.
And not to mention the people, dude. There's awesome people. And I mean, like Chicago, for example. I love going to Chicago. Like I always have a great time. Maybe it's like the Midwesterner vibe, but you can literally walk into a grocery store and start talking with the guy working behind or gal, whatever, working behind the counter and have a 20-minute conversation with a complete stranger. And next thing you know, you're like, hey, dude, what's your number? Let's, you know what I mean? Like, get together later, whatever, And I feel like there's just a lot of rich, whether heritage, people, culture, everything that like, these cities offer. The problem is, I think that the way they are run, just people are complacent to voice the change. And it's like, we kind of settle as humans, you know what I mean? We're kind of like, okay, sometimes this just is what it is. Not all of us sitting here, but I mean for like a general consensus.
See, I almost think it's more nefarious. I think that the policies actually create the problem. Like I think that there's a lot of that. When you look at when you lower standards, when you do all these sort of things, kids are going to go. Yeah, I like to brag about how well my sons eat. My sons are not picky kids, but it's because I'm a strict dad and I make them. The standard is this. We're not going to be a chicken nuggets and French fries at every single meal kind of family. We're going to make honey? One. That's it. That's it.
I'm just kidding. Love you, babe.
But you know what I'm saying? And
he's sleeping I'm sorry. He's sleeping on the couch tonight.
He is.
He's done.
We don't. The reason why I laugh is because our son had chicken nuggets and French fries because it's like the easiest meal because he is kind of a picky eater. Even though we try like really hard to be like this. Okay, you're not eating.
Your kid will not. Your kid won't starve, and that's the truth to all of us. And I mean, it's a cute issue, and have your fights where you're going to have your fights when it comes to your wife, man. Don't want to end up getting you on the couch, bro.
That was a joke.
He's staying here tonight.
My wife's awesome, dude. She'll understand it was funny.
But no, when you lower the standard and somebody thinks, okay, I can still achieve, I'm still going to get whatever I'm going to get. I'm going to get my diploma with Fs instead of needing to, have a C average to get my diploma. Guess what? They're going to get Fs. That's the way that it is. You have to keep the standards high. I laugh. I'm like, we're attacking, masculinity here in the United States when, China is like shooting up their soldiers with like steroids. They're going to like only testosterone, only we're going to be this way. We keep lowering the bar and we're doing it across the board in everything that you can think of. It's not a merit-based. We're not results-based anymore. And when you do that, you're lessening the quality that's coming out in people. You'll never find somebody's full potential if they don't strive to be the very best that they can be. And that doesn't mean that we should leave people behind. But Americans, we are historically very, very generous, very helpful kind of people. If your neighbor's falling behind, you're going to reach out and you're going to talk to them and you're going to help them. We don't need the government to step in and to be big daddy about all those things. We can be responsible people on our own. But when you have these, too big to fail or too small to fail all the way systems in these cities, you're breaking people. You're keeping people trapped in this stuff. We talk about, look at the gun control groups, right? There's a school shooting. Everyone is outraged, and rightfully so, man. You don't want any little kids getting hurt or any of those things happening. That's disgusting. It's terrible. But it happens in places like Chicago and Los Angeles and, Oakland, all these places all the time. And they don't care. They don't care at all. No. Because the policies that they put in place, these are the same places where they want to defund the police, but they've got the strictest, gun control laws. You don't have a right to carry a gun to defend yourself. That's you. The interesting thing to go back and historically look, what came first, the gun crime or the gun control? And that's a very interesting thing because the places with the highest gun crime in the United States are also the places with the absolute strictest gun control laws.
That is very correct.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You're holding back the citizens, but the criminals will always find a way to get guns and weapons.
Yeah, criminal's gonna criminal.
Yes.
That's the way that
now,
it is.
Now your citizens have no way to protect themselves because you're strict gun laws.
Right.
I follow somebody on a social media platform that they put up like the shootings that happen in Chicago every weekend. And it's literally every weekend. And it's like 20, 30, 40, 20, 30, 40. And then those are just the shootings. And then it's, how many kids got hit in these. Because, I don't know if most of them are drive-bys or accidental, whatever the case is. It's you have an area that is supposedly has the strongest gun restrictions for the country,
Right.
has the worst problem with, involved shootings with citizens.
Right. And then they try to blame other places. There was an FBI statistic that came out, and it's, most gun crimes happen with guns that are obtained illegally. And then most people who commit gun felonies have prior violent felonies. I'm like, and while we're talking about that, we're doing these bail reforms that are letting people literally out with no bail for, some violent crimes because they call like a minor violent infraction. It's like there is a balance. Like you don't want the jails to just be full. We shouldn't have this, prison system. The prison industrial complex is not a good thing. I'm not, for that. But at the same time, you have to prosecute crimes when crimes are being committed. That gets me back to, if we got the government out of the way, just imagine this. You roll back some regulations so that people feel like they can actually open up businesses. You lower the taxes on people so that when people go to work, they're incentivized to work. When you work overtime, you actually keep your money. How come when you work overtime, you pay a heap of it in taxes, almost to the point where it's not worth working your overtime?
Yeah.
Why are we disincentivizing people from working hard? But if you could get it back, and you can, we've got people that we're crunching through the budget. Right now, we're actually looking at a plan that could actually make this attainable in the state. And people are going to cry and ree over it. And it's like, no, that's not going to be a government program anymore. And if you want it, privatize it. You can have your own program. You've got enough nonprofit organizations, hire everybody. You've got millions of dollars to throw at political campaigns. How about you put that into your community instead of spending it on politicians? How come you need to spend $25 million to run a candidate against, Mike Garcia up in, his congressional district? That's an obscene amount of money. Imagine what that would do to help your community if you actually cared about those sort of things. But they don't. They talk about it, but these problems, keeping people poor and angry, keeps people in this same little cycle that has kept them, voting Democrat since forever. Yeah. And they keep thinking that they're going to come in, just give them a little bit more and they'll come in and save you. No one's going to come save you. You're going to save yourself. We're going to empower you by just letting you keep what's yours. Get the government out of your way, be successful. And guess what? You're going to have less criminals because parents are going to be able to spend more time with their kids. We're going to stop. Why do we incentivize divorce? Why do we incentivize, all these sort of things? I mean, it's crazy, but we did. We took, we get into the wherever people find their morality. I'm a believer. Yeah. I just recently got baptized at the end of 2020. What? I've been a Christian my whole life. Yeah, shout out.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal as an adult. Absolutely.
But it's one of those things. Without that moral compass, like what stops people from being totally treacherous to each other, right? You got to have a moral grounding somewhere, whether it be in God or whether it be in something else. But letting people be back to being free people that can at least take care of their own household. When you're on an airplane, the airplane's going down. They tell you put on your oxygen mask first before you help the person next to you. All these programs we're talking about taxing millions of dollars, billions of dollars throughout our state so that we can help our neighbor while we're failing over here. We're being taxed out and pushed out of the state. Help everyone to be able to help themselves and watch how fast we thrive. Look how good we were before we started doing it this way.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it, dude. No, so I know quite a few people who feel like, well, I don't have a voice. What does it matter what I vote? What do you say to people who want things to change and don't like what's going on? What do you think that the solution is for them?
So politics happens local. This is actually a funny thing that I can jump on because he was talking about it. That lady who was saying that, communities, raising the children and one parent shouldn't really raise a child. There was an article from the local Ventura newspaper that was talking about that exact thing, and I posted it, and everyone was telling me, "Oh my gosh, that's satire. You're being salacious and just chasing a headline." 2 days later, that lady dropped that article on national television. I'm like, "What? What was I? Was I? Where's the satire in this?" Because I wish that it was funny, but no. What's happening locally? Sure, the president should be the least important person in the country politically. All that means is he works for all of us. I hope everyone understands when I'm running for assembly, it's because I think I can work harder for you than the next person can. Nobody stepped up that's going to work harder for you than me, and if they do, I'll be happy to step out and be able to go right back to just coaching football and living my life. So that's what I want to do. But when you get down to your local candidates in your local races, they make such a difference in your life. You might not be paying attention to politics, but politics is for sure paying attention to you 24/7. They are in your life. They are in your pocket. They are in your home. They are in your kids' television shows. They are watching you. So you might as well get active in it. There is no, people talk, there's fortification in elections, or there's this and my vote won't count, or those sort of things. You know what? That's not an excuse to not go out and vote. That's an excuse to get more involved. You look at what just happened in Virginia. People filled up all the billets for being poll watchers and poll workers. And guess what happened? When they tried to do some fortify-ish things, they got stopped because people were there in the gap. If you want to help affect change in your neighborhood, pay attention to who your city council members are. Know who's on school board. Show up for these things. They all matter. They matter in your day-to-day lives because they determine whether you've got a stop sign at the end of your street where your kids are going to play. They determine what your city's policies are on homelessness or people sleeping or doing drugs on the street. Those things matter. They affect your life. Get involved. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard for everybody, but you do matter. We've got more in common than we've got, to disagree about. Get involved. Start talking to people. Call me. I tell everyone, you want to get involved, you want to get the closest amount of involvement, call my campaign. Ask me a question, ask what we're doing, and I'll let you get involved right there on the grassroots level. Your opinion will be heard by me. I'll hear what you want, what you care about, and we can start talking about those things because that's how you get involved.
I like that, man. You know what, dude?
Right, hey,
I know. Hit that bell, dude.
for you, man.
You seem like you have a very strong conviction about this, Cole. And what's your why? Why are you so passionate about it? What has drawn you to come in here and try to affect change and run for assembly?
So I received some awesome values as a kid. Didn't have a perfect family. Nobody does, right? Yeah. But I had the perfect imperfect family, and I come from a long line of military and law enforcement, and I got taught at a very young age that you always stand up for that flag and you always kneel before God. And I tell everybody I got to inherit those passed down qualities. What I didn't inherit being a lifelong Californian was my parents' freedoms. I was born with fewer freedoms than my folks were. And my sons, sadly, were born with fewer freedoms than me. My wife's got a baby cooking in the belly right now.
No way!
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Yeah.
Congratulations, dude.
Shout out to my wife Stephanie, my beautiful wife, and our daughter on the way, Leanna. She's due on the 4th of July, but
wow.
I know.
Awesome.
Get some. That's some patriotism right there.
Yeah, dude. What timing?
But right. If I'd like to take credit for planning that, but
Hey.
I public school math education.
God bless your math. God bless your wife,
That's it.
dude.
But the sad truth is when she's born, she'll be born with fewer freedoms than her 2-year-old big brother, and that makes me angry. That's my heavy why. Because right now I'm 35 years old, and I say this all the time. I think every little boy, or maybe not every, but most, you grow up wanting to be the knight in shining armor and slay the dragon.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to be able to look my sons in the eye. If I know when the dragons were flying that I ran away and hid, I didn't answer the call and go fight the dragon, what kind of dad would I be? What kind of father would I be to my kids? So that's it. We're going to teach them to be monster slayers too. They're going to be way cooler than I am. But for right now, if I'm the best you got, then this is what we got. They do too. You should see. There's a lot of hair product going on in my house, man. Everybody's got long hair. I say that, and yet we all use like the all-in-one shampoo and conditioner. My wife's got like 6 things, and she's like, "Why do you guys all have nice hair?"
So true. It's so true for the men.
One and done.
Yeah, for the men, it's just one bottle. We can do face wash, body wash, dude, freaking hair softener, all this, and the women have like 6 different bottles going on.
Oh yeah,
it's a mess, dude. How can somebody reach out to you, get involved in your campaign, donate? What's your website, Instagram? Put it all out there.
Go to justvotebro.com. So just vote bro. Cole Brocato for state assembly. I'm running for the 38th Assembly District. I'm on all the social medias at Brocato, the number 4 assembly. You can call me. Here's my phone number going out worldwide. Call me, 805-626-0834. That's the campaign number. Give us a call. You can get involved. I tell everybody we're in a grassroots war for the heart of California. Get involved. If you can do anything, you can be involved, because when you're going up against big dollars, and Democrats come with big dollars, everything matters. I challenge everybody. Things like this, things like the Let's Go podcast, like that's what gets the message out. If you can give anything, if Firefighters for Freedom do any kind of donation thing, Starbucks makes a ton of money. They don't need your $5 every single day. Pull out your phone, jump on your computer, donate to these causes. Donate to the people that are standing in the gap, that are fighting for freedom. I love the coffee donations. People are like, dude, I'm embarrassed. I don't want to give $5. Like, it doesn't look good. Yes, it does. $5 goes a long way for those of us that are here in the fight. So anything that you can do, donate your time, donate your opinion, share our stuff, share these videos, because, the more people that know about these guys, this is the future of our movement right here. So we're here for freedom. So just vote bro.
Just vote bro. And then I think you said your podcast handle, right?
Yeah. So for it's Brocato for Assembly is my Instagram, Twitter, Getter, Facebook, all those sort of things. So
you're on Getter,
so go after them. Yeah, got to be on Getter.
Find you.
Yeah,
I got you. Okay.
Come get those.
Yeah. No, Cole, I want to say, man, is I'm really encouraged by who you are as a person after meeting you and what you're doing, what you're standing for. I think it takes courage. It takes a lot of guts. It's definitely an uphill battle, but nothing's impossible. And I love seeing someone young like you, so passionate with a family. Because, on this podcast, this is what we're about, man. We're about pushing the future and protecting everyone's rights, whether you're Republican, Democrat. We always just put the information out and let you decide. But I love what you're doing. We support you. If you ever need anything from us, please don't hesitate to text or call me or message us on Instagram. We'll do what we can to help you. I think people like you are the future. We need people who aren't afraid to stand up for their values, stand up for their kids, and stand up for the Constitution, because that's kind of being lost right now, unfortunately. And it's really sad to see. And you brought up so many good points and opinions about this country and our Constitution and the flag and what that flag stands for and what our liberties stand for and the responsibility that we have as Americans and citizens, not even just in California, but the United States. People lose their lives trying to come to the United States to have what we have. And it's unfortunately being lost. And for some reason, it seems like people don't care. People are like, oh, well, everything will be okay. Until one day it's like, wait, what the hell happened? Why can't I do this anymore? How come I'm paying this much in taxes? It's like, you just let it happen. So we need more people like you, and for our brothers and sisters in Firefighters for Freedom and so many other movements that were out there at these rallies. And I'm so thankful that I met you. We are going to support you 100% in whatever we can do, man. So thank you for what you're doing. Please stay encouraged, stay strong, because I know there's definitely long days and discouragement. I've had that with businesses, with the podcast. Sometimes you're like, what am I doing? Like, what the fuck? Please keep going. The only people who don't get to where they want to go in this life are the ones who quit. Don't quit, man. We got your back. I know there's a lot of people who got your back, man. And thank you so much, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you guys, man. Got me all emotional over here.
I was like,
let's go. That's the speech right there. Let's go. So no, you guys are incredible. Shout out to my beautiful wife, Stephanie. Shout out to my boys, Caleb and Alexander. They're the why, my daughter on the way. And we're in this. I got into this fight to work for the people in my district because I think the government's supposed to work for us. The government's supposed to work for you. You are the highest point of government. When they talk about everything, it's we the people. So keep doing what you guys are doing, man. You guys inspire me to keep going, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So let's go.
Man, this podcast is about people.
Yeah.
We are the voice for the people. We want everyone's story to be heard, man. And yours is a great point.
Yeah, dude.
Honestly.
I mean, thank you for doing what you're doing. You know, it can't be easy. And I know that, like you're saying, you know, we talked about there's so many points to recap, so I'll keep it short. Tim had a pretty good send off there.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Speaking from the heart, man.
No, but it's true though, and that's the inspiring part, right? Is that you see people like yourself, you know, and that I would consider the outliers, especially for what you're standing for, and I think that is the only way that we will see change. And I think that, you know, my hat tip to you. And, you know, I think what you brought up, you know, you referenced your kids a couple times. And I feel like so much of that in life comes to what you can look at the mirror, right? And be like, okay, I'm making the right decisions. I'm doing what I want to do, because you know what, dude, we only have one shot at this. So it's like, if you don't like what's happening around you, then how do you change it? And I think what you're doing is a big step towards the change, man. And I think keep going. Absolutely what Tim said. Keep going. However we can support you and on all that good stuff, absolutely. But don't lose that drive, man, because you definitely got some spirit, dude, and it's good to see. And I think that's the next step, you know, because hopefully what you're doing inspires another 100 people like you, you know, and I'm not exactly like, you know, I wasn't going to have bitching hair like you do, but,
hey,
you know, either way, it doesn't
flow.
matter, right? It's a younger stance on a different side of the coin here that's getting pushed forward. And I think that, you know, it's like, let's change it. Let's see. Hey, look, at the very basis of the argument, you've had 30 years of the same shit. Are you tired of it yet?
Yeah.
You know, then what are you
What
gonna
do you
do
have
for
to
it?
lose?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Come try something different. And it does. If anybody's inspired to get involved, or anybody, you know, for being, you know, nobody. I'm a construction guy. I'm endorsed now by the Santa Barbara GOP, endorsed now by the Ventura County GOP, and they didn't have to take a risk on me. Like, you know, we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
I got
Hell yeah.
Rob McCoy, last pitch to you, boss, but he was my first big endorsement. And, you know, these people are national figures because they had courage. Firefighters for Freedom is worldwide known because you guys had courage to stand up. So,
Hell yeah, man.
yeah.
Hey.
Well, hey, Cole, at the end of the podcast, we have questions and cards. I actually have one on my phone. This is Pod Deck. He has answered the internet. So I'm going to ask the first one here just to get some laughs going, some things here. But first question, we're going to go around. You start, we all answer, and even Sam gets involved, okay?
Yeah.
What would be the creepiest thing you could say while passing a stranger on the street? What would be the creepiest thing you could say while passing a stranger on the street?
It wasn't me.
You know what I actually did to somebody one time?
Huh.
Taste the rainbow.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
I passed
way
by, I just
better.
went, taste the rainbow. They're like, what the?
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like if I farted or something, like the crop dust, I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, who's that guy?
Yeah.
I guess be like, I was like, do you smell ketchup? That's kind of weird. Yeah.
Sam?
I would say blow a kiss at him. Yeah, just a quiet one.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
That would creep people out.
Oh, yeah.
Would it be like a soft exhale, but loud enough to hear it? Like,
Yeah.
do you do the hand up too? The hand with the.
Oh, that's even.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's bad.
that's weird.
it's like a creepy Mentos commercial.
I don't know if you guys have
Yeah.
seen this on social media, but there's these videos where people will like film at an escalator.
Oh,
And like a guy will touch another guy's hand as he's going up and they're going down. He just caresses it and they're like, what? I don't know what
down
to
the
do.
arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, totally.
That's awkward. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're like, thanks, bro.
Yeah. When in California, in LA, that happens all the time. So.
Yeah, it is just what it is. I don't even want to show you my inbox from males hitting me up and sending me pictures.
It's just
Nice,
a
bro.
compliment,
Yeah,
Tim.
solid.
I just find you attractive. That's
I know,
cool.
but I don't need to see their anteaters. You know what I'm saying, dude? It's like, stop,
I mean,
guys.
they can clean that up a little bit, for sure, you know?
People are aggressive. Go ahead, dude.
All right, dude. Well, all right. If you can pick a character from TV or any movie, who would be your college roommate?
Man.
I like that. I like that.
Dang. College room. Screech from Saved by the Bell.
Really?
Yeah, my grades would be super legit, man.
Okay, I see where you're going with that
Come
one.
on. Otherwise, I was going to say Rip from Yellowstone, but I figured that's too good. I
Too
mean,
big of a variable, dude.
yeah, if I get on his bad side, I'm in trouble. But otherwise, like,
gonna
it's
make you earn
Rip.
Topanga.
Topanga?
Damn, that was mine.
Oh, was it really? It's either her or Corey. Same show.
Solid friend. Though.
Yeah, but Topanga would be like, well, hopefully we could like start something here, you know?
Yeah. I wasn't looking at it from a female perspective. I was thinking more like I'd pick like Doc Holliday, dude, just a ride or die.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. Val Kilmer, Doc Holliday.
Yeah, from
Best one, dude.
Tombstone.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Hey,
Yeah.
that is the best tombstone.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
The best one.
yeah, yeah. The Wyatt Earp one. I mean, big Kevin Costner fan, but I mean, Tombstone.
Not the same, man.
It's not the same. What do you got, Sam?
That was the first thing I thought was Topanga, bro. Because
Really?
we talk about
Topanga?
we talk about Boy Meets World all the time.
She's so beautiful.
Right?
Dude, my 11-year-old is binging through it right now.
Oh, the old school?
The old school
hell
one, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, we got him on the old school TV. That's why I said Saved by the Bell, because he just finished it last night.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, does he ever ask any questions why Sean can't get his shit together?
Like I'll watch
He's
it
a
with him a
lovable
lot of
friend,
times.
just can't quite figure it out.
Yeah, he's looked over, and my son's like, "Dad, I'm the Corey, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, son, you're Corey. It's okay. It's okay. You're a good kid."
And the Corey's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no.
He doesn't get as many girls as Sean does in the beginning, but it pays out dividends later.
Yeah, he gets the
You know?
one. I mean, that's
Hey, Topanga. We just two
There it
references
is.
of
Johnny, man.
yeah.
I love you, Topanga.
Shout out. I don't even know what her real name is.
I don't even know either. It doesn't matter. She's Topanga.
What is one thing she wants to come on here, dude? We can't
Topanga.
call her
I don't need to
Topanga.
know her real name. You know what I'm saying, dude? That is your real name. You know what I'm saying?
She's like, stop calling me Topanga, Tim. You're always my Topanga. All right. So last question here. How many times can you eat the same meal before you get sick of it?
Ooh.
Or like, I guess the question would really be is like, what could you eat multiple times with like before getting sick?
Oh, dude. So one of my main campaign headquarters is this gym in Ventura called BSF Fitness. Shout out to the BSF family.
Yo.
They stayed open through all the lockdowns.
Good for them.
They got OSHA going after them right now. Shout out to them. Anybody wants to help and support BSF Fitness, hit me up because they're amazing people. They were super strong, cared about people's fitness. But they had me eating chicken and rice every single day, like 2 or 3 meals a day for a hot one. And you know, I made it pretty well through with chicken leg meat.
Oh, okay.
I can run that back quite a bit without getting super sick of it. Even beef, like when you got to reheat beef, like that gets rough. And chicken breasts, you just get annihilated.
Gets
yeah,
really old, man.
So I would say like chicken thighs with rice. I can rock that for a good long time. I won't be happy about it.
I got you.
But I can do it.
You know what, man?
I like the dark meat, dude. That's
yeah,
like, I like that.
taquitos, man.
Taquitos?
motherfucking taquitos,
Damn,
dude.
dude. I was thinking burritos. I could eat that shit for breakfast,
dude,
lunch, and dinner every day.
I can eat taquitos for the rest of my life and not have a single problem.
They're so good.
They're so
Those are
good. Delicious. But you got to have more meat than,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I've
And
had
wrap.
some. Yeah, there's more wrap. You're like, damn.
Are you a taquitos and guac guy, or do you want salsa?
both? I can either or.
Okay, 'cause
If it's guac, cool. But if it's hot sauce, it's got to be the hottest you got.
Dude, super crazy like life hacky thing.
Bring it.
Like plain Greek yogurt to replace sour cream is off the hook.
Sam?
Not healthy off the hook.
That's right.
But like, oh my God, it's got more flavor. Like if you try it with your taquitos,
Okay.
and then you switch back, you'll be like, damn, sour cream tastes like nothing.
Really? Okay.
Bro.
So Greek yogurt?
Plain
Yeah,
Greek
zero
yogurt.
pause. So good.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
So
I use
good.
it
How the heck are you?
Yeah.
You two know about this?
Dude.
I use it to replace mayonnaise when I make tuna. Like I use Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
and that
Really?
stuff. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like the calorie overall is lower, high protein, blah, blah, blah.
I add it
know what I'm
to mashed
saying?
potatoes and stuff
Sam,
too.
well, Sam,
Blend it in there.
yeah, Sam, when did you start doing that?
About a couple years ago.
Really? Someone told you about it?
Obviously. Look at 'em,
just,
dude.
just meal prepping, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, the higher protein and the lower calories.
There's
Definitely.
no
Yeah.
camera on Sam, but he's jacked. Like everybody's
Nah.
They don't put the camera on him because he looks better than all of us. So if he gets on, yeah, you got to be off camera.
He came walking in today to do a podcast. He's the last one to show up. He's got sunglasses on. He's like chill. I'm like, dude,
What's up, baby? You ready to roll?
yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
Yo.
yeah,
yeah, the movie stars here, gentlemen.
that's it.
Slow clap.
Yeah.
Sam,
I'm like, if he's gonna be on camera with us, I can't do this podcast, man.
It did
I'm gonna
get
look
quiet.
terrible.
He walked in and everyone was just kind of like, oh, well,
The champ is here.
yeah, right?
yeah,
That
holy
should be your
cow.
ringtone, dude.
Well, hey, Colt, thank you so much for coming on again, dude. You're welcome on here anytime. And again, like I said, whatever you need from us to help you, we'll do whatever it takes.
Dude.
We got your back. We understand the fight, dude, and what's going on. We're definitely with you on the grassroots movement, man. We started from nothing. Now we're here with the studio and soundproofed and tables. And so we get it. We know the hard work, man. So we got your back.
Started from the bottom, now they up.
That's right,
Yes,
baby.
sir.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, no
you,
problem.
dude.
Yeah.
Let's get a let's go on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
Bye, everybody. And that's it. Thank you for listening in, everybody. I'd like to thank our sound engineer who makes this podcast happen and makes us sound very good, Stephen Clark. And to our first sponsor, 89 Barbers. Look good, feel good, be great. Come get your haircut at 2 locations, Long Beach and in Orange, California. Your appointment can be booked at 89barbers.com. That is BARBRERS. 89barbers.com. Again, look good, feel good, be great. Check it out. That's my barber. He is the man. Thanks, everybody. Bye.